Hey everybody, it's Ed Conarchy. Welcome back to Conarchy's Money Corner. On this Conarchy's Money Corner, I want to share with you the number one reason why you and I are forced to invest, why we just can't keep our money in cash. The number one reason that affects us is inflation. Inflation is the cost of goods and services and how they increase on an annualized basis. Now, many people are surprised to hear that over the last 90 years, inflation has actually averaged 3.2%. Now, as of late, over the last several years, inflation has remained low, but ironically is starting to increase, and the fears of rising inflation are actually what's causing the bond and stock market volatility that we've seen over the last couple of months. Now, inflation, because of its growth on an annual basis, if it were to grow on an annual basis of 3.2%, what inflation will do is it will rob the buying power of your dollar. So if you take a dollar and you have compounding growth of inflation of 3%, in 20 years, that dollar is going to have the buying power of only 50 cents. So if you take your money and put it into a savings account at 1%, you have to realize that it's falling in value due to inflation. A lot of people will always get nervous about stock market risk, but the risk of inflation is happening right underneath your nose and is more riskier than the stock market. Now, what we have to then realize is we've got to find a weapon to fend off inflation. And what the best weapon is, and history has proven this, to offset inflation is a diversified stock and bond portfolio. That while inflation has averaged 3.2% over those 90 years, that the stock market has averaged between 9 and 10% over those same 90 years on an annualized basis, and the bond market has averaged 5 to 6% over those 90 years. So a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds will be the weapon that you need to invest into to offset inflation. Because here's the problem. If you take all your money and put it into a savings account gaining 1%, like I said, with the 3% that inflation is historically averaged, you're falling behind. You're not keeping up with inflation. So the value of your money, where the principal may be the same, the buying power will be reduced. That's why as you get older and older, if you're not staying ahead of inflation, it's getting tougher and tougher for you to live financially. So what we have to teach everybody is that they have to put as much away into investments as they possibly can. And where's the best place to do that? You know that if you've listened to my previous Conarchy's Money Corner. That's into your 401k at work. And like I shared with you last week, what I do with every client is make sure that they have the lowest mortgage payment possible so they can free up money to divert that into their 401k to take advantage of that weapon of compounding growth of stocks and bonds. As I shared with you in the last Conarchy's Money Corner, simply reducing your mortgage payment by just $100 will allow you to now divert $150 pre-taxed each month into your 401k, which at a 7% annualized rate of return would compound all the way up to $180,000 30 years from now. That simple $100 will grow to $180,000 30 years from now. That's assuming a 7% annualized rate of return. And as we talk about every time, past performance is no indication of future results. So we can never guarantee that. But again, think of what the averages have been over the last 90 years. Close to 10% for the stock market and between 5 to 6% for bonds. That's our focus. Why do you have to invest? Why do you have to put as much into your 401k as you possibly can? One word: inflation. Hope you enjoyed this Conarchy's Corner. Contact me if you want to answer any more questions on this, and most importantly, to realize or review to see if you have the lowest mortgage payment possible. Talk to you next time on